Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So as you can see from the title of this video, this is part 2 of my Camp America experience story. Now if you haven't already seen part 1, which I will link up there, make sure to go check it out and then make sure to come and watch part 2 after, as it kind of carries on the story. It does start a little bit abruptly because I didn't plan it to be 2 parts. It just ended up being really long, so I thought why not make it into 2 parts. And without further ado, let's just get straight into it. And guess which song was crossed off? Goodbye by Jason Derulo. So this is where it starts to get juicy. Times are changing, lady. Sorry that I don't know how to sweep, but we weren't taught it at school. Well, I was fired then. I eventually get to the bus station, I buy my ticket, and I'm on the bus on the way to Boston with no idea what I'm gonna do. Like, not even a clue. I was like, I'm just gonna be stranded in Boston with my giant suitcase. I had like a kilo of Sour Patch Kids and all sorts of other crap that I didn't need, and I was like, what the hell am I doing with my life? Like, I do not even know. So eventually I arrive in Boston, and I didn't want to pay for a taxi because I literally didn't know how much money I would have. I was so worried. Like, I had a decent amount of money, but I was like, I'm not spending money on random things that I don't need to spend it on. My hotel was like a 15 to 20 minute walk away, but for some reason the handle on my suitcase decided it wasn't gonna work today. I was like, nah. So I had to carry it by like the other handle that you carry it by. I had to drag it by that the whole way. It was so hot. I had to wear one of my jumpers around my waist. I had like my backpack on. I had like a neck pillow hanging off me. Honestly, I had a water bottle in my hand because it wouldn't fit in my bag, and probably numerous other things, and it was so stressful. I'd never been to Boston except when I flew in, but I just literally stood outside the airport and then got on the bus from there. So I'd never like been outside of Boston airport, and I was now just in Boston. We got dropped off at Boston South Station, and I was just like, right, that's it. So while I was on the bus, this probably took like 3 or 4 hours, I managed to book myself into a hotel for about £150 or something, and I was like, do you know what, I'm just gonna book a hotel for the night and stay here and then just like figure out what's gonna happen. So eventually, after dragging my suitcase, I was sweating. I was wearing shorts and t-shirt and I was the most sweaty mess ever. And I got to the hotel. Thank God I was in an English speaking country. Like, I don't really speak languages that well. I could not have gone to another country that speaks another language and conversed at all. I would have been so much more stressed. They were so lovely at the hotel. I stayed at a Club Quarters hotel. I'd never stayed at one before, but it was super nice. And I got up to my room. It was really nice. And honestly, I just lay on the bed and I was like, I don't even know what to think at this point. So eventually I get a call from camp leaders. That was the agency I went with, and they were like, right, we're gonna try our best to place you with another camp. And I was like, that would be awesome, because I really didn't want to go home. Like, I had it in my heart for years and years that I wanted to go away to Camp America, so I would have been so gutted if I had had to go home. Not only that, but they said to me, if we can't place you with another camp, because bear in mind it was already about 2 weeks into camp season at this point, the camps had fully started, they had all their kids, like everything was in full motion. They were like, we might not be able to place you with somebody. If that is the case, you will have to book your own flight home, blah blah blah. We'll have nothing to do with you, and you will owe us about £1,200. And I was like, no, don't even joke with me, that's ridiculous. Now obviously I understand why, because if I'd worked at the camp the whole summer, that is the fees that the camp would have paid to camp leaders, and then the camp would have paid me the rest of my salary. So in my hand I had about $300-ish, maybe a little bit more, and I was gonna have to pay camp leaders £1,000 and buy my flight home. And I was like, oh no, this is just so disastrous. Eventually I told my parents when I was at the hotel, and they were like, don't worry about it, we'll figure something out. Obviously they were like, we'll back you up. If you need money, we can send you money. Everything was fine. Thankfully I had a credit card with me that I managed to use. That's how I paid for the hotel, and everything was okay. So then I was like, do you know what, while I'm here, I might as well make the most of it and go off and explore Boston. I'd never been before, and I was like, now's my chance, if any. I'm stuck here, I have nothing to do. I literally had no idea what was gonna happen. I was like, I might as well just make the most of it. So I went out exploring, I went to the market, I went to the harbour. Honestly, I had a blast. Like, I had such a good time. I was like, this is not what I had planned for the day, but honestly I had so much fun. And also, this is when I found my love for Chipotle. Everybody knows who she is. If you've watched Lily Singh / Superwoman, she loves Chipotle, and now I understand. She's vegetarian, I'm actually vegan, so there's so many things there, and I was like, I could eat Chipotle every single day. So I went to Chipotle, I had my meal, honestly it was so good, went back to the hotel, and I just watched some TV like late at night. So I've been talking that long that my camera died on me, so I had to go get a new battery, but I am back. And where were we? So I found my love for Chipotle, I'm in Boston, I'm stranded. Yeah, so then Camp Leaders calls me and is like, so we don't really have any camps going right now. We're gonna keep looking for a little while, but don't get your hopes up. And I was like, oh, I am screwed. I hadn't told anyone at this point. My mom, my dad and my grandma knew that I was not at camp anymore, but they didn't know the whole situation because again I didn't want to scare them. I was like, oh yeah, everything will be fine, we'll probably find a camp really soon. Or will we? That's the real question. So at this point I was just like, okay, I really don't know, I'm gonna book one more night in the hotel and kind of see what happens. And then I was thinking, I started looking at the flights to come home because I was like, if nothing happens within the next couple of days. At this point it was the 3rd of July. Now my 19th birthday was the 8th, and I was like, if nothing happens the couple of days before my birthday, I'm gonna go home because I really do not want to be alone in Boston on my birthday. So I was like, I'm gonna fly home on the 6th or the 7th if nothing happens before then. So it's the 3rd. Gets to maybe like lunchtime just after, and I get a call, and I was expecting it to be Camp Leaders, and it wasn't. And I was like, hello? And they were like, is that Lauren? I was like, it sure is. And they were like, we're calling from Camp bloody blah. And I was like, oh my god, it's a camp. This is the best news ever. So they're like, this, that, the other. I'm like, yeah, I'll be such a good counsellor. Why were you fired? Just a difference of opinions, wasn't getting along, you know, all the things they want to hear. I was like, this is just such a great time. I found a camp. They were like, we're located in the Poconos, and I was like, great, no idea where that is, but it sounds really good. Sorry, I'm uncultured. I now am obviously aware of where the Poconos is, but I was like, awesome, when can I start? So they paused for a second. I was like, this does not seem like a good pause. So it says at the bottom of your application that you're vegan, but we hadn't read that until just now. I was like, don't. Yeah, we don't have any vegan food. I was like, so there's nothing at all that's vegan. They were like, well, we have a salad bar. I was like, great, I'll eat lettuce every day for 10 weeks, like, don't mind me, I'll be fine. And they were like, yeah, I don't think that's the best idea. I was like, no, honestly, I love salad. Bear in mind, I hate salad. They were like, yeah, I'll eat lettuce, I'll eat peppers, carrots. And I was like crying inside, but I was like, honestly, I would rather eat carrots every single day for 10 weeks and go home. And I hate carrots. And they were like, sorry, I just don't think it's gonna work. I was like, no, my one chance of a camp has been taken from underneath me. I'm like, well, we're back at square one, best go get another Chipotle. So I went out at that point, got my second Chipotle of the day, and I was like, do you know what, I'll just eat this. Life will be great. So I wait a couple more hours. At this point it's probably like dinner time, like 5, 6, maybe 7 o'clock, and I'm like, well, I'm screwed now, like that's it. What is gonna happen? I have no idea. And then I get another call. Again, I was expecting, I'd probably spoken to camp leaders in between this time, but then I get another call from somebody that I don't know. Now at this point, bear in mind, this is the camp I actually ended up going to. I still don't know who I spoke to on the phone, and obviously I know all the people at this camp and I still don't know, but obviously I didn't really want to ask anyone. I was so startled when I picked up the phone that it wasn't camp leaders that I just had no idea. And they were like, so we're camp blah blah and we're located in the Poconos. So I was like, this is a prank, I've already heard from you. And then they started saying different stuff and I was like, okay, no, it's not a prank, we're all good. And they went on to say that basically loads of things I wanted to hear. And they were like, we have vegan food, we have a lot of vegans. They were a Jewish camp, so obviously there was no mixing of meat and dairy, which made it super easy. They had so many options, and I was like, OMG. And they kind of offered me a usual counsellor, like a general counsellor position, but they were like, we do have a dance department, so you can kind of join in on that as and when you like. And I was like, perfect. I now have a place at a camp and I'm absolutely buzzing. They were like, so we're gonna have you come down tomorrow. Now bear in mind, at this point I was in Boston and I had to get all the way to the Poconos, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know how I'm gonna get there, this is gonna take forever. I was looking at flights, I was looking at, I don't even know, there's basically no trains in the US, so I was like, how the hell am I gonna get there? Turns out I had to get a bus from Boston to New York, and then New York to a random town in New York State, like near Pennsylvania, and then they were gonna come and pick me up from there. Great times. So it's the 4th of July, I was so buzzing to spend my first 4th of July in America. I was like, this is gonna be so cool, we're gonna eat hot dogs, vegan ones obviously, we're gonna have a party, there's gonna be fireworks. I was like, this is just gonna be so cool. I was very wrong, it wasn't very cool. So I was on a bus for I think like 12 hours that day, I got up quite early in the morning and left with my giant suitcase. I think I'd fixed the handle by this point, so that was pretty good. And then I get to the bus station. I was so scared. I literally had no idea what I was doing. And then I got on the bus to New York City and I was like buzzing. But basically, because it was the 4th of July, and also I think there might have been another reason. I think it's that there was only one bus per week from New York to where I wanted to go. So I was like, what if there's no bus? I was so scared. I think I only had a kind of a short gap. So I was like, if we get stuck in traffic, like I am screwed. So I was like, do you know what? It's fine. I'm just going to get on this bus to New York. At least I'll be a step closer and we'll kind of see from there. If not, I'll just chill in New York for a few days. I'd never been to New York before. So I was like, I'll go see the sights and just like chill and then see what happens from there. Get to New York, everything's good. And then I was like, how the heck? I'm in this giant station. I was in, what's it called? Port Authority bus station. And I was like, how the hell am I going to find my bus stop? I don't know what anything means. I don't catch buses very often, or especially not like ones that go really far. Because obviously in the UK, I would just get on the train or like drive. I don't know. So I was like freaking out. I was like, I'm never gonna find it. And then this man comes up to me. Now I was kind of scared, but he seemed genuinely nice. He was probably either homeless or just like didn't have a job. I don't really know the situation, but he was like, I'll help you. He wasn't being creepy. He was just being a nice person. And he was like, where are you trying to go? I'll help you find where you can buy a ticket from and they'll help you from there. And I was like, perfect, thank you so much. So this guy walked me all the way to kind of like where I needed to get to. I would have probably never found it on my own. And then he really politely was like, is there any chance you have $1 or $2 that you could spare? And I was like, of course. Like I probably gave him like $5 or something. I was like, have a nice day, thank you for helping me. So I was at the ticket counter, I get my ticket, and oh my god, the relief. At this point I think my phone was running out of charge. Obviously it always is. I was very stressed. I am so disappointed in myself that I hadn't started vlogging or like videoing at this point in life, because it would have just been an adventure. But anyway, so yeah, so now I'm at New York. I think I actually had a few hours that I had to wait before getting this bus, so I was just like chilling. I didn't dare go anywhere just in case I missed the bus. Now bear in mind, you wouldn't think this, but if you want to go and check out I missed my flight story time on my other channel, I will link it up here. I did manage to miss my flight while basically sitting right next to the gate, so go check that out. But yeah, so I was like, I don't want to go anywhere just in case I miss the bus or anything changes, or I was just so scared. I had all my stuff with me again, my giant suitcase, my neck pillow, my water bowl, my backpack, like everything just hanging off me. And I was like, oh, I'm so sweaty and I just want to get there. So eventually I get on the bus and it just drops me off in the middle of nowhere. Now the bus took ages. There was so much traffic. I assume it's because there was loads of 4th of July events going on, so people were trying to get to certain places. So, you know, I was just like, right, whatever. So we get there and then this really, really lovely woman comes and picks me up and she was like, hey, like, are you coming? And I was like, oh my god, I'm home. And she was the loveliest woman, and the whole way to the camp she was telling me all the things I wanted to hear about camp. She was telling me about how the kids are crazy, how the other counselors are crazy, and so many stories about the camp, and just, you know, those things that you really want to hear about what really happens at camp. She wasn't a director, she was just like I think she worked in the office kind of thing, but she was so nice and she basically just told me everything I wanted to hear. She put my mind at rest so much. I arrived at the camp really late at night. Everybody had obviously had their 4th of July kind of celebration. I met my 2 co-counselors for the first session and they were both so nice. And I remember my first memory of my friend Kate. I don't know if she'll be watching this or not, but all I remember is she came in and she was like, I'm going to a pool party, see ya, and she just kind of left. And I was like, a pool party? That sounds so much fun. Like in my other camp there was nothing like that. There wasn't even a pool, never mind a party in one. So I was like, that sounds amazing. I couldn't wait, and honestly I had the best summer ever. Like, so much fun. The way back, on the other hand, another disaster. I will make a story time about that as well if you give this video a thumbs up. I can do a whole little camp series. I basically almost missed both my flights. I had to get buses back to Boston and they were broken. Honestly, everything went horribly wrong on the way home, but my whole summer at camp was such an amazing one. I was so lucky to have everything work out the way it did. I made so many new friends. The kids were so lovely, and it was just an experience that honestly I will never ever forget, and I'm so thankful for it. Now I just have a few last things to say about kind of if you are planning to go to camp, my tips of like what you should and shouldn't do. So if you're going through an agency, which I assume you probably will be if it's your first time. That was such a good catch. Yeah, so you're balanced on like $50 because I don't have a tripod. My studio is coming soon, so stay tuned for the studio tour when I've built it. But as of right now, you get like 10 books to balance on, so go you guys. Anyway, so what I would say is if you're going through an agency, don't go for the first camp that kind of approaches you. So I didn't go to any of the fairs. Before any of that happened, the original camp that I went to approached me and were like, we would love to have you. Everything sounded so lovely. Now bear in mind that was an all-girls camp, and for some reason I was like, that's such a great idea, I'd love to go to an all-girls camp. No, I wouldn't. Like, I get on with boys so well, and I think they are just like a really important part of like a community. I don't think having all girls works well. Personally, I didn't go to an all-girls school, I went to a mixed school, and obviously I'm really good friends with a lot of girls, but I just think having that mix just makes everything better. And I just think it's really important. So obviously that's a personal preference. Some people would love to go to a single sex camp, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, for some reason I thought it was a good idea and it wasn't. Another thing is it was like really old fashioned. So the camps, like the bunks had no windows, it was just net. There were so many bugs. It was like a really animal-y camp. Now I didn't realise that some camps were animal-y and some weren't. But they had horses, they had a petting zoo, and honestly that is just not me at all. I'm not an animal person whatsoever. So many other things about it that just didn't fit me, but because I didn't look around enough, I didn't realize what else there was out there. Now, like, I was quite apprehensive going to a Jewish camp because I'm not Jewish, and honestly I had no choice. But also my uncle said that he'd been to a Jewish camp and he loved it, so I was like, do you know what, not that I like have anything against Jewish people, it's nothing like that. I was just a bit unsure because I didn't know if I'd feel out of place because I know nothing about Judaism, or at least at the time I didn't. So I was quite concerned. I was like, I'm not sure about that aspect of it, but everything else I was like, do you know what, it would be so much fun, it doesn't matter. And honestly it did not matter one bit. I learned so much about kind of the community, about the religion, and I had such a good time doing that. So I would just say wait for a few camps to contact you and pick from those, and then see which one actually hi. It's alright, it's just scared me. Sorry about that minor interruption. My next door neighbour came in to get the lawnmower out of the garage, and it literally scared me out of my skin. Excuse the fact that I'm now wearing different clothes and I basically have paint all in my hair. So I'm now back. It's a few hours later after doing some painting for a future video. Make sure to stay tuned for that. But basically the moral of the story is don't pick the first camp that approaches you. Make sure you look around a little bit before you pick. Make sure you pick one that suits you the best. Also, camp leaders is absolutely fabulous. I was a little bit apprehensive at the beginning, as when I was doing my original application and all of that, they weren't being that useful and they did mess me around quite a lot. But when I needed them, they were there, and honestly I could not thank them enough for everything they did for me. And honestly I just want to say both the camps I worked at were doing an amazing job. I can't say that I agreed with everything that was going on at either camp. You know, they're trying so hard, they're doing so many things, and honestly I just have so much respect for these people because they're doing such a massive thing for all the children in America. They're providing jobs for loads of people, and it's just such a cool experience. So I just think it's the greatest thing ever. But I'm just gonna leave it there. Thank you guys for listening to my story. Again, give me a big thumbs up for more Camp America stories or more travel stories. I have so many going. Do go check out my other channel, Lauryn Rachel. There's loads of story times on there of me doing crazy stuff to do with Disney as well. And I'll see you next Sunday with a brand new video. Bye!